Hey everybody, Aaron Stark here. This is not part of my normal series of The Way Out is Through, but this is just a separate video that I just have some thoughts, figured I'd share them. What do you tell someone who is depressed? What do you say to try to help? Like, what do you actually do on the ground to try to help even a little? I get this question a lot. I've recently noticed there's been a shift from people telling me their stories to people asking me for help with these things. So what do I say to people who feel like they need some help? Well, the first thing I do is I try not to say much in the beginning. I try to listen. It's a truth that most people, when you're talking to them, they're not actually listening. They're preparing their next monologue. They're preparing their next thing to speak. You need to consciously stop that. You need to actually make it a point to try to listen to the person. Try to get as much information as you possibly can. Try to stop your own preconceptions from getting in the way of what you're saying or what you're thinking. Do it for a long period of time, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Just sit there and try to absorb everything. Absorb the facial movements, absorb the body language, absorb the micro expressions and facial tics, absorb where the eyes are going when they're talking. What's the way, how's their breathing? What's their sentence structure like? How coherent are their thoughts? How incoherent are their thoughts? Pay attention to all of it without trying to prepare what your next response is and what you think you should say next. Actually listen. You know how rare that is, people do. So when you actually listen, it has an amazing effect. When you actually listen to someone and actually can really give their opinions weight and credence, it makes them trust you. It lets them know that you're not just fly by night, so to speak, that you're not just going to vanish. Because you can kind of tell right away in a conversation when someone's actually listening to you because it's so rare. So once you do that and you've actually listened, and you don't have to agree with what they're saying, but you have to respect and acknowledge that their feelings are real. What they're feeling is just as valid as what you're feeling, even if it's different. Just because you wouldn't react that way that they did in a given situation doesn't mean that your reaction is better or worse. It just means that it's different. You have to treat it that way. You have to give everybody the respect that they are humans and they are people living their own lives. And whether it's 15-year-old who doesn't seem to have much life experience, whether it's an 80-year-old who would have all the life experience in the world, you have to give them both the same respect and credence that their life experience, whether it be short or long, is still valuable and still matters. You have to give them the respect that they understand their own feelings, or that when they say they're feeling a certain way, you can trust them. Another problem people have when they're confronted with depression and someone in a sad way is they try to think of a plan for how to fix. And that's a dangerous area, because one of the biggest stumbling blocks that I've ever hit was being treated like a project. People treat you like something's wrong with you and they need to fix you, and they need to find out what the problem is and dig down to it. And maybe if they put you in this program, or maybe if they hook you up with this doctor, or maybe if you say these 5 words in the mirror, maybe these things will actually help. And I actually think that can be really counterproductive, because if you're already feeling lonely and you're already feeling worthless and you're already feeling like you're a subhuman in a way, an inhuman, then it's easy to then feel like a project when someone treats you like that. And if someone you trust start treating you like a project, like you're now something they're working on, it can remove all the positive effects of it. Even if the project would seemingly work, even if the program that you were going to get them in is actually helpful and could actually be beneficial. Sorry, the clock's going off. That still could end up biting you in the butt in the end, and you could lose all of your positive benefits if you seemed to be doing it just because you wanted to make a project. You have to be sincere. You have to actually care about the people. And that's, I guess, the hardest thing to do. Try to empathize, I guess. Try to see, put yourself in the person's shoes. But don't say. Here's a list of things you should not say. Don't say, "I know what you're going through." Don't say, "You'll get over it." Don't say, "You need to move on." These are all negative things to say. Okay? Because one, you don't know what they're going through. You might understand from your perspective, and you might have had some similar experiences that might give you a small clue as to what's going on with them, but you do not know what they're going through. Everybody's going through different things. I don't know what you're going through, and you don't know what I'm going through, regardless of how much I've told you. You can't say, "Get over it," because that's the most dismissive thing and disrespectful thing in the world. That'll just turn it into anger. You get over it? Really? Because what, my problem's not big enough for you? You can get through it. There's a big difference between getting over it and getting through it. Like I say, the way out is through. You can get through it. That's an okay one. You need to move on. Can't, no. You need to continue moving. That possibly. You need to move on is, again, very dismissive. Oh, my problem's not good enough. I just need to move on. It's not worthy of their time. No. You need to keep moving because you can't let this problem stop you. Again, there's a big difference. So, anyway, that's what I would say and what I do say. People come to me. Tell them that they're worth it. Tell them that they matter. Tell them that it may not seem like it today, but tomorrow's going to be different one way or another, whether it's better or worse. So all you can do is adapt with the changes and keep on going. But if you keep going, that's the only key. I hope this helps a little bit. I know this wasn't quite the same, and I normally be doing these in the daytime, so I hope this is a good one. But thank you all. I appreciate your help. I appreciate your love. Remember, from the bottom of my heart to yours, you are not alone.